Ah, the Crusades, that magical time in history when a bunch of medieval dudes decided, hey, let's walk thousands of miles in full armor to fight for land we've never seen, for a religion we barely understand against people we've never met. What could possibly go wrong? Welcome to 200 years of holy madness, the Crusades. Spoiler alert. A lot went wrong, like historically catastrophic levels of wrong. What even were the Crusades? The Crusades were a series of religious wars between Christians and Muslims, mostly over who got to control Jerusalem. This started in 1095 when Pope Urban II basically said, God told me you guys need to go fight Muslims and take back the Holy Land. And Europe said, hell yeah, free sins. That's not a joke. The Pope literally promised people a straight-up pass to heaven if they joined. Murder someone in the name of God? No problem. Saint status unlocked. Jesus would be your co-pilot. So, wave after wave of knights, peasants, and lunatics marched east, carrying crosses, swords, and absolutely no understanding of Middle Eastern geography. The First Crusade, the one that accidentally worked. The First Crusade, 1096 to 1099, was supposed to be a disaster. It had no real leadership, no coherent strategy, and half the army were peasants wielding pitchforks and blind faith. And yet, they actually took Jerusalem. How? Dumb luck and bad timing for the other guys. The Muslim world at the time was politically fractured, busy arguing with itself. Perfect time for a bunch of barely bathed Europeans to roll in screaming about Jesus. When they finally got to Jerusalem after years of wandering, starving, and arguing over who smelled the worst, they went full GTA mode. They massacred tens of thousands of people, Muslims, Jews, and even fellow Christians. It was a bloodbath so horrific that eyewitnesses claimed rivers of blood flowed through the streets. Then the Crusaders said, cool, we live here now. Jerusalem conquered. Morals permanently deleted. Next, the People's Crusade. Diet Crusade with extra stupid. Before the First Crusade officially launched, there was the People's Crusade, basically the early access beta version. This was an unhinged gang of peasants, lunatics, and amateur prophets led by a barefoot guy named Peter the Hermit. Peter had a vision, or maybe just a bad mushroom trip, and convinced thousands of peasants to follow him to the Holy Land. No armor, no supplies, no actual idea where Jerusalem was. They thought, why wait for the knights? Let's get a head start. They wandered through Eastern Europe, looting, burning, and accidentally starting pogroms against Jews. Then when they finally met the actual Turkish military, near modern-day Turkey, they got obliterated in about 5 minutes. The only miracle here was how fast it all fell apart. So yeah, a solid 0 out of 10 on strategy, but a 10 out of 10 on chaos. Then the Second Crusade. The sequel nobody asked for. Fast forward to 1147. Jerusalem was in Crusader hands, but the rest of the region, not so much. So Europe decided to send another wave of soldiers to fix things. Enter the Second Crusade, starring Louis VII of France and Conrad III of Germany, two kings who thought they were generals but really just sucked at road trips. They led massive armies that starved, got lost, and were decimated in Anatolia. Why? Because they didn't trust the locals, didn't listen to their own scouts, and kept charging into mountain ambushes like YOLO. Then they tried to siege Damascus and failed spectacularly. It lasted 4 days. 4. That's not even a full work week. They went home in shame. No Jerusalem, no holy glory, just diarrhea and disappointment. Then the Third Crusade, Celebrity Crusade Edition. Now this one's got star power. Richard the Lionheart of England versus Saladin, the Muslim Sultan and all-around badass. These two were like historical frenemies. They respected each other's battle skills, exchanged gifts, and trolled each other mid-war. Richard was charismatic, violent, and constantly shirtless. He led successful battles but never took Jerusalem. Why? Because it was too damn hard. He got close, looked at the walls, and said, meh, screw that. Meanwhile, his French frenemy Philip II went home early, like a diva who didn't like the catering. So they signed a truce, and Richard left the Holy Land to go get kidnapped in Austria. Yup, Austria. Now, the Fourth Crusade, the one where they forgot who the enemy was. This one right here? Chef's kiss of stupidity. In 1202, a bunch of knights wanted to go to Jerusalem but were broke, so they made a deal with Venice. Give us ships, and we'll pay you later. Venice said, cool, but first, help us sack this Christian city called Zara. The knights said, sure, we'll attack other Christians. Jesus won't mind. Then they got hijacked again, this time by a Byzantine prince, who promised them money if they helped him take Constantinople. So what do? They sack Constantinople. Not a Muslim city, not even part of the plan, just a fellow Christian capital. They looted it, burned libraries, and sent holy relics back to Europe like it was a medieval Amazon delivery. Jerusalem never even saw it. And let's talk about the Children's Crusade. Yep, they sent kids. In 1212, a French shepherd boy claimed he had a vision from Jesus, telling him to lead a crusade. Instead of saying, no, child, people said, yes, holy boy prophet. Thousands of children joined him. Spoiler, they did not conquer anything. Most of them died, starved, or were sold into slavery before reaching the sea. This was less a crusade and more of a child-led disaster parade. If you ever feel like adults today are too dumb to be in charge, just remember, once, an entire continent thought an army of unsupervised children was a solid battle strategy. Now there were more crusades. Way more. Like, embarrassingly more. Fifth Crusade? Got stuck in Egypt and ran out of food. Sixth Crusade, Frederick II negotiated peace and got excommunicated for doing it without violence. Seventh and eighth, led by Louis IX of France, who died of dysentery while crusading in Tunisia, not even fighting, just shitting himself to death in a tent. By the time of the Ninth Crusade, people were like, wait, are we still doing this? Eventually, the Muslims took back Jerusalem for good. Europe shrugged and went back to murdering each other locally. Why did people keep signing up for this? The Crusades had something for everyone. Religious forgiveness. Stab a dude, go to heaven. Land and riches, assuming you survived. Adventure. Assuming you weren't killed by dysentery, sunstroke, starvation, or arrows to the face. Also, let's be honest, it was the Middle Ages. You either joined the Crusades or plowed a field until you died at 32 from bad bread. The choice felt obvious. The legacy, a 200-year dumpster fire. So what did the Crusades actually accomplish? Religious harmony? Nope. Made things worse. Military success? Only for the first 5 minutes. Political stability? That's a joke. They did, however, deepen the rift between Catholics and Orthodox Christians, strengthen Muslim military unity, help spread knowledge and trade between East and West, invent new ways to die horribly in the name of God. Honestly, it's a miracle Europe survived the Crusades at all. They were like a group project where everyone brought a sword, no one brought a brain, and the teacher was God himself yelling from the clouds. In conclusion, don't join a crusade. If history teaches us anything, it's this. Don't trust a barefoot preacher with no plan. Don't send children into combat. Don't promise heaven in exchange for murder. And definitely don't let broke knights borrow your boats. The Crusades were supposed to be sacred missions. Instead, they became a 200-year medieval shit show full of friendly fire, divine delusion, and some of the dumbest tactical decisions ever made. So next time someone romanticizes the Crusades as a noble era of chivalry and faith, just remember, one of them ended with a Christian army looting the most Christian city on earth because they forgot to read the itinerary. Praise be.